recently did a video on why use a buyer broker and what are the benefits of using a buyer broker. And like I said in part one, there's really I can't really speak for what other buyer brokers do because I don't need a buyer broker, so I don't know what they do. So, but I know what you can expect with you work with Mark and Jill if you enlist us to help you find a property. And I covered a lot of things: financing, the purchase agreement, getting your search refined, knowing, getting your lifestyle, dialed in to where we know not only what house you're looking for, but how do you live in your house. And we talked about that in part one, a lot of that. But there were some things that I didn't mention that I think are worth having a part two on. And then here's a couple of examples. Sometimes we need to ask our buyers how long are they going to be in the house. Okay, so that has a huge impact on the property that you acquire, because if you were moving to Albuquerque and you're going to be here for 5 years, let's just say for a 5-year period, and you do want to own while you're here and you want to actually have some potential gain and profit when you sell and move on to your next adventure, then we need to really talk about location. We need to talk about new construction. If you're interested in new construction, then we need to know how long that builder is going to be in the area, because in 5 years, the builder could still be building in your area, and that could affect your ability to sell the house quickly and not have to pay closing costs and not have to pay a lot of extra that a builder would normally pay. So my point is, we love new construction, don't get me wrong, but when we interview you as a buyer and we're determining what you're looking for, one of the questions we ask is, how long are you going to be here? And because we're trying to make sure that when we sell you a house, we tell this to every buyer that we work with. When we sell you a house, our goal is to have a house that if you ever call us and say, "Oh, Mark, Jill, you're not gonna believe it, but we've got our dream job and we're gonna sell the house and move to another state." We want that house that we smile and say, "Get boxes. We've got a buyer for it because we sold you a great house that will resell very, very easily." And that's our goal. So we're kind of playing, checkers or connect four. We're playing 2, 3, 4 moves ahead when we look at working at helping you find a house that works for you, at working for you at finding the house. So my point though is that that's a big piece. If you're going to be coming in here with the military and you're going to have a VA loan with no money down, but you're only going to be here for X amount of time, then we want to make sure that we find you a great property that maybe you can improve a little bit or that you can gain some equity in. Of course, we can't see the future. Like I've said for years and years, if we could see the future of the markets, if we could, we wouldn't have to sell real estate. We could just go to Vegas for one weekend and we could tell what the future is, and we could bet on the Super Bowl for next year and be done. But the reality is that we can't see the future, but we can load it in our favor. We can pick great locations. We can pick great layouts for houses. We can pick houses or choose houses that the majority of people will want to buy in the future. We can see trends, areas that are trending that you may want to get into and do a remodel on and fix it up. We have a ton of that experience in helping you find the right house. And then we didn't even talk about financing. We talked a little bit about financing in the other one, but in the other video. But I mean, to really navigate the FHA process and how is a seller going to look at your offer if you're FHA, and how to maneuver that and what is involved for you. A lot of people don't realize that with an FHA, the appraiser does somewhat of an inspection. They do an inspection all appraisers do an inspection. They go to the house. That's called the visit to the house. They go and they look at the house and take pictures and measure it. But with FHA, they're also looking for certain things that have to be working, and they're going to want certain repairs to be done. They could call out repairs on an FHA and a VA appraisal. So FHA and VA appraisers have more than just the value of the house that they're looking at when they come to visit your house for the appraisal. And so as a buyer, if you don't know this, then you're wondering, why do they not take my offer? Why is it that I keep getting beat out by cash and by conventional? What's the difference? And we can explain that and explain what is involved. And you can still buy a house with very little money down, a conventional with very little money down. But if we're planning on selling the house in the future in a short amount of time, we really want to focus on finding the right location, the right spot, the right layout, the right configuration, the age, the type of construction. A lot of people come to Albuquerque and they don't realize that there's block houses, there's adobe houses, there's frame houses, there's stucco houses, there's siding, there's flat top roofs, there's pitched roofs, there's evaporative cooling, and there's refrigerated air, which is, people don't realize that in New Mexico there's two types of air conditioning. And so when we're helping you, determine what house works for you, but we're also thinking about selling it in the future, then we want to take that into consideration. And we still haven't talked about, flipping a house, buying a house with the whole concept of fixing it up and flipping it. So when we have an investor as a buyer, then we're going to be analyzing the acquisition, we're going to be analyzing the cost to renovate, and we're going to be analyzing the potential gain and the potential sales price in the future. And of course, we can't see the future, but we're anticipating what we can sell that house for, and that's a whole nother arena to jump into as far as the value of a good broker, a good buyer broker. But it just goes on, and you don't want to take this lightly. We want to ask you if you're familiar with what's called an HOA, a homeowners association, and do you know what is involved, and do you know what they can restrict you from doing? Do you know what they allow you to do? Do you know all the rules and regulations of an HOA? Do you want that in your life? Jill calls them a mother may I, okay? Because you have to ask them if you can paint your front door a certain color. You have to ask them sometimes what kind of tree you can plant in the front yard. Now, sometimes we have to ask them how to put the sign in the yard, if it's going to be perpendicular or parallel to the house. There's a lot of things that come along with an HOA that could prohibit or could, prohibit the sale, or not prohibit the sale, but thwart the sale, actually govern the sale of the property. And so again, your goals are so important to you, and we want to find those out so that they're important to us, so that when we're helping you select a house, how far it is to, what the commute times are, which route to take for commute times. That's a big thing. Also, little tips like maintenance. Okay, what am I gonna have to maintain on this particular house? What do I have to? What's kind of maintenance free, and what's maybe not maintenance free? And do we have people that can help with those? And we absolutely do. Another thing is homeowners insurance. We didn't even talk about that in the other video too. Is that homeowners insurance? And you just think, that's no big deal, I'll just get homeowners insurance. But if you have a pool, your homeowners insurance is going to be affected. If the pool doesn't have a fence around it and it doesn't have a cover, you're going to be affected. Your homeowners insurance is going to be affected. If you're in a flood zone or near a flood zone, it's going to have an effect. There's a lot of things that go into your homeowners insurance, which can be a big, phenomenal, costly amount per month if you buy a house with a pool in a flood zone. And so we're going to look through that as we're looking through the houses and say, listen, you're going to have to figure this into your expense for your house, and I don't want you to just take that, and just run buying a house because you think it's gorgeous, and only to find out that your insurance is going to be very, very hefty, and that's going to help or not help. It's going to hurt the resale of the house down the line. So it's not going to help, is what I'm trying to say. And so there's a lot of these details that come up. I mean, and I'm just literally off the cuff throwing things out here as to why it's so important to have a good buyer broker on your team when you're looking to buy a house. It is so important. And I just can't say it enough. From market reports to things that are going on maybe with government. We just recently had some legislation at the local level here that was talking about Airbnb licensing and all that kind of thing. So if you were buying a house to Airbnb it, you want someone that knows how that works and knows how to get the permits and knows what's involved and where can you Airbnb, where you cannot Airbnb. There's a lot that goes into buying real estate, and having an advocate, having someone working for you and with you and alongside you is just, you can't put a price on it. You cannot put a price on it. So if you're out looking for that special house, that property, the property to flip, the property for rentals, the property to vacant land to build your dream home on, if you're out looking and you're just doing it on your own, I'm going to tell you, you get with a good broker that can interview you and really, really find out what your goals and your needs are, and your wants and your needs, and put together a search and really walk you through this process. And it's a lot of work. It is. And it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Remember, in real estate, you want to, the old saying, you want to measure twice and cut once. You want to consider everything before you make that move, because there'll be a process to sell it if you don't like the results of the purchase you make. So reach out to us, Mark and Jill Carlisle. We'd love to visit with you, get to know you, interview you, find out what you're looking for, assist you, consult you, and help you find that dream property. So reach out to us at 505-480-2478. We look forward to serving you.